Hey guys, Jake from MACkite. Today I have the 2022 F1 Trax HDR kiteboard. I was able to get a session on this recently and I wanted to give you my overall impressions / maybe a little review. So to get started, we've got the bad boy right here. There's the underside. Here is the top. This is the carbon version of this board. So they have a regular wood core version and then the carbon, which will have that carbon laminate on it. That's going to not only lighten up the board, but also offer a little additional stiffness. One thing I noticed right off the bat is this doesn't feel quite as light as a normal carbon board. I wouldn't call it necessarily heavy, but it's not what I expected. When I was able to get a session on it though, I was really impressed. Honestly, the weight wasn't so much of a factor. I felt a lot of the benefits of the carbon board, and when I looked into more what made this board ride so magical, it started to make sense. So the first thing we should talk about is the HDR. That is actually a 3D molding process. You can see if you look at the rail here, it's actually thicker right here underfoot, and it's designed to do that to provide a little bit of extra stability underfoot. It's going to make the board carvier and roll better because it has more volume. That'll really roll into those turns, transitions, and when you're edging the tricks, you get a little bit more surface area there. It does then thin out in the tip and tail of the board. That's good. It also has this 3D cutaway here at the tip and tail, and that's going to make the tips more flexy. So when you are carving in the waves, when you're coming down from a big trick and landing, that flexibility is going to soften up that landing, and it feels very comfortable. Normally carbon boards are a little bit stiff for me, but I really found this one kind of right at home. I didn't do many tricks where I came out low and hot and really landed flat, the knee breakers, so to speak. I didn't do many of those. I was a little bit nervous, but I did find on my Boosie freestyle tricks, the ones where I came down a little bit hot and normally would be punishing, this board didn't hurt me, which is really cool. In fact, the landings felt really comfortable. So some features I really liked. Again, this has this channel right down the middle. That's going to give you a lot of control, and that is especially apparent when you add this rail right here. So when you lock this board in, it really sits there. It drives up wind really well. It generates a lot of power. The takeoffs and pop feel very explosive, and so do the landings, honestly. It's one of those boards where you're coming down, as you touch the water, it really seems to catch you, and the channeling of the board pulls you through. So sometimes you come down, you feel kind of sloppy, you have to spend a little bit more effort regaining control. I didn't feel that on this board here. So what are some of the characteristics of this board? This is going to be on the stiffer side, go figure, with its carbon construction, and that is a little bit more pronounced because of this 3D molding, especially when it's thicker up here. It is going to just add to the weight a little bit and the general stiffness if you lean into the board. This does have a medium rocker line. I really like that. That's great for free ride and freestyle when you're in the chop or you're coming down from a trick. It's nice to have a little bit of flip in the tip to give you a more forgiving landing. Regarding sizing, this board comes in 4 different options, and that was something I was honestly kind of skeptical. It's available in a 135, a 136, a 137, and a 140. Those seemed really compressed to me. And honestly, the 137 I felt like was going to be a little bit too small. It is 42 centimeters wide, so that is maybe about a centimeter wider than a normal board of that size range. Going to the 40 pushes it up to 45 centimeters, and they call that the light wind version. And I didn't really feel like I needed that. However, I didn't find size to be a factor here. It rode really well. It felt controlled. It felt appropriately drivey and upwind. I didn't feel like I was slogging downwind because I didn't have enough surface area on my board. I think for my weight, about 180 pounds, the 137 is the sweet spot. I would be interested to try the 135 and 136. I think they go down about 1.5 centimeters in width for each size. This is a board that it's really important to dial in on, and you can tell that they feel confident that they've done that with that size split. I'm sure they have. I haven't ridden them all, just the 137, and I really liked it. So who is this board for? This is primarily for somebody who's going to do a lot of free ride and freestyle. It's a tracky, upwind machine, lots of pop, fairly smooth landings despite it being carbon. It feels very, very nice. It's a very controlled kiteboarding experience. Again, as I talked about earlier, sometimes the board feels like a little sloshy, and there's benefits of that. You can kind of cheat a little bit more. You're doing your tricks. You can flip up the nose a bit more. I wouldn't say this is one of those boards, but if you like to ride with power, intentionality, come out fairly clean, this is a super, super awesome board. On a side note, I really did like the footstraps here in Michigan. We do have to ride with booties, the water's cold, and I think this single strap system works really well. That's generally feedback I have across most brands. When you do move to a two-strap system, sometimes that strap is just too bulky and you can't tuck a good booty in there. I was able to ride with my booties. These things still locked in my booties, so my feet weren't ejecting halfway through a trick. Overall, this is a really, really great package. We just sold this as a demo board. I'm pretty bummed. I really thought I had found my board for the summer. Maybe I'll be buying another one. As always, guys, thanks for checking us out. This has been Jake with MACkite.